Hello everyone, my name is James, and this is Real Biased Gaming. A game that is fast approaching my top 5 list for hours played on Steam is Total War Warhammer. While I am not yet sure if I will be doing a full review of the original base game, I want to take some time now to talk about the Call of the Beastmen expansion. The Beastmen are a low-armor, high-maneuverability race that focus on ambush and vanguard mechanics in battle, while they have the Horde mechanic on the campaign map. The Horde mechanic has been around in Total War games since the first Rome Total War. It seems that Total War Warhammer is trending more in that direction, using that design a little bit more, and for reasons I will explain later, it is not my favorite mechanic in the game. On the battle map, Beastmen are decidedly the fastest race in the game. Their infantry have the highest average speed of any race's infantry, and the only individual units from other races that are faster would be the Dwarf Slayers, Savage Orcs, and Chaos Marauders, again when it comes to infantry. They have a wide assortment of beasts and monsters, which are generally very fast, and the Gorbel, the Beastmen's melee specialist hero, has a base speed of 58, markedly higher than any other two-legged hero or lord. They also have no less than 7 units with Vanguard deployment, meaning you can experiment with hit-and-run tactics and army-splitting maneuvers more than any other race, and you can start doing it from almost the very beginning of the campaign. On the battlefield, overall, I would say Beastmen feel the most like the Vampire Counts. They only have 1 siege unit and 1 cheap ranged unit, so in that way they're very like the Vampire Counts, who have basically no ranged units at all. Though you can do a lot more with their infantry than the Vampire Counts can. Generally, you only want a small core of them, while focusing on death balls of your big monsters to hold the center, and fast-moving units to flank the enemy. Don't fall into the trap of trying to play them like the Orcs, just go for sheer numbers on the battlefield, as the Beastmen battle lines can get pretty outclassed by many of the other nations. One last thing to note, though, about the battlefield gameplay is how powerful the 2 new magic lores are, which the Beastmen have access to. That would be Lore of the Wild and Lore of Beasts. Lore of the Wild has a spell that summons a Cygor onto the battlefield, while Lore of Beasts allows you to spawn a freaking Manticore. These spells are ridiculously broken compared to the only other summoning spell in the game so far, which was from the Lore of Vampires, and that only spawns a unit of zombies, which the Manticore will eat for breakfast. To be honest, I would rather have the Manticore than the other most expensive spells in the game, which all seem to have something to do with explosions. Explosions that you have to aim, by the way. Manticores, you don't have to aim. Though it is possible that it is more related to my personal playing style, that I want the Manticore more. I haven't done the actual balance testing, but 9 times out of 10, taking Lore of Beasts, taking Lore of Wild, and getting that final summon is going to be so much stronger than any of the other lores of Magic. The Beastmen are not only playable as a part of the grand campaign, but also as part of their own mini-campaign called An Eye for an Eye. And I'm all about this as a kind of value-added part of this expansion and future expansions. You basically get to play on a zoomed-in part of the world map. You deal with different scripted events and fight new, smaller factions than in the grand campaign. It felt just different enough to warrant at least one solid playthrough on its own. With all their plans for future expansions, Creative Assembly is going to have to keep doing stuff like this to keep the single-player experience fresh, and so far, they're doing a good job. Before I close this thing out, I want to make sure I say something about Hordes in Total War. I don't find them to be fun to play. They're like a novelty. You try it once for a few hours, but there is no lasting enjoyment in it. While I think the empire building is paced and balanced very well for the 4 standard races in Total War Warhammer, I think for both the Warriors of Chaos and the Beastmen, there just feels like there's nothing there. There's so much less outmaneuvering, so much less resource management, and I just can't enjoy the fact that you never have to think about your borders. Playing a campaign with a standard race has natural highs and lows. Sometimes you're battling on 3 different fronts for over 30 turns, and sometimes you make peace with your neighbors and nothing happens for 20 turns. You get to rebuild. While sometimes I enjoy the systematic destruction of an entire empire, which is literally the only thing you can be doing with a Horde army. You're either completely wiping out an enemy race, or you're just losing the game. Half the time I'm wondering to myself if I would have had more fun just playing custom battles with Beastmen and just kind of setting up my own armies and setting up my own battles. Basically, I'm really hoping there are not too many more Horde races, but I'm worried because I think there are several potential races that Creative Assembly could decide to use as Hordes in the future. To me, it is a pretty big downside to a race that has some very cool units and is very enjoyable to play during the battles. The Beastmen expansion costs $20 US, and it is tough for me to say this expansion is worth that much. I will say there are some great hidden parts of this expansion. The Beastmen's personal battle map, fighting in the Beastmen, the hidden beast paths, is very cool to look at. And animations for the Beastmen units are surprisingly really well done. Very unique, especially for the Minotaurs. Those guys literally dive head first into battle, like right into pikemen. They don't care. It's good to see Creative Assembly spent some of their money to make Beastmen. Monstrous infantry have different movements and animations than, say, the Trolls, the Crypt Horrors. I really do feel that, because of the Horde mechanic, the Beastmen expansion just lacks any kind of replayability on its own. I'm going back to soon to start a brand new campaign, and to be honest, it's probably going to be with the Orcs or the Dwarves again. If you've not bought it yet, I recommend waiting for a sale or when they bundle some of the DLC together. And those are my thoughts, guys. If you have something to add or disagree with anything I said, please let me know in the comments below. I plan on sticking with this game for quite some time, so if you want to see future videos or hear my thoughts on the base game, let me know. Also, who's your favorite Warhammer Fantasy race? Are they in the game already, or are you hoping they're going to come out soon? And who do you think is going to be coming out next? Personally, I cannot wait to play the Grand Campaign with Brentonians. Cannot wait. They're my favorite race from Warhammer Fantasy. Gotta see those Brentonians. And that does it for me, guys. Thanks for watching, everyone. Once again, my name is James, and this is Real Biased Gaming.